My name is David, and I am a little bit nervous, so please bear with me. Today I'll be talking about the first precept. So I guess I wanted to get a feel for how many people are unfamiliar with the precepts. Probably doesn't look too many. Everyone's familiar. Great, I can go. So the first precept in English is, with deeds of loving kindness, I purify my body. We also chant the Pali version, and that translates to, I undertake to abstain from taking life. So there are 5 precepts, and I'd like to start by us all chanting them. If you don't know them, just listen. Let's start with so we're not doing the precepts. We'll start with sure, I should know, just given them this written a talk on it. Parvatipata. Okay, ready? Let's do the positive formulation.
With the deeds of loving kindness, I purify. With open-handed generosity, I purify my body. With stillness, simplicity, and contentment, I purify my body. With critical communication, I purify my speech. With mindfulness created, I purify my mind.
So what we did was we kind of said the same thing twice. Just one was in Pali, one was in English. We have so with Pali, I suppose it's a feature of the language that sort of saying not to do something is, not sure what I'm getting at here. It's a little bit like the English word inflammable, where it can mean 2 things that are the opposite. So, it could easily catch fire or it will not catch fire. Which is why we have the positive formulation, which can sort of give us some guidance. We know what not to do, but we need to know what to do. So there's 5 precepts, which we just chanted. We chant them in English, in Pali, because they're traditional, and what it does connect us back to the Buddhist time. So we're sort of being connected through time and space, all the way back to the Buddha himself. The precepts are not commandments. So I came from a Christian background. I think probably a lot of us did, where there's these just sort of hard and fast rules that you don't question, you don't think about, you just have to do them. That's it. Buddha didn't encourage that. He wanted us to really, think about what the words mean, why we do it. He wanted us to, sort of use our rational inquiring minds and develop confidence in the practice rather than just this sort of blind faith. So sorry, excuse me. Here. There is though the law of karma. So we might break, go against the precepts, but we are still subject to the law of karma. I think karma in popular culture is basically a substitute for God, where it's this sort of magical thing called karma. If you're a bit of a bad person, then karma's going to get you, and you can't escape it. It doesn't really work that way. I think of it more as if we do an action or say something, or even thoughts, then they leave an imprint on your mind, and that imprint, is basically a form of training where if we're sort of doing unskillful things, then we're more likely to do the unskillful things again in the future. And maybe we won't, I don't know, be punished sort of immediately, but given enough time, then we'll get our comeuppance. Now, I really like so I use the word skillful. I really like that concept. I think in to the Christian mindset, there's good and evil, and those feel like really intrinsic qualities. So, I can say, oh, that's an evil person, and that's sort of it. I'll put them in a box. I don't have to think about them anymore. They're just evil. Don't care what I'm saying. Something I love about Buddhism and the Dharma is we talk about skillful and unskillful. So if I'm okay, so yeah, have an example. Having a conversation with someone, getting sort of really annoyed or upset with what they're saying. Something, a phrase comes to mind. I know I can really sort of dig in and attack the person with this, cutting insult. It takes a lot of skill to sort of recognize, no, I shouldn't say that. This is going to cause a lot more trouble down the track. Again, karma. And just to sort of hold it on and, let it go. But take skill. Something that's fantastic about skills is there's something that can be learned, practiced, and you can develop skills. So it's sort of like playing a piano. You could practice piano for hours a day, develop the skill in that, become a world-class piano player. So it's probably a bit late for me if I wanted to become a world-class piano player. But also, I guess I should be saying pianist. But really, I've been whether I've been aware of it or not, I've been practicing ethics all my life. Maybe, a lot of my ethical practice hasn't been very skillful. In fact, I can tell you that. But it doesn't mean I'm an evil person. I've made mistakes in the past, but I can move on. I can, say, okay, I can only start from where I am. I'm going to move forward, just try to be more ethical, try to increase my sort of skills at being an ethical person. So, sorry, I know I'm a little bit all over the place, but I guess so the precepts are basically ethical practices that we do. It helps us basically keep ourselves aware of how we're going by sort of separating them into these 5 areas. The first one, as we said, is I undertake to abstain from taking life, which I don't know. I've never murdered anyone. I'm okay. Fine. That's it. Tick. 10 out of 10 for me. But then, I sort of sit and think a little bit. Well, it's not obviously not just about people. I have never, intentionally killed any sort of large animal. I had a very regrettable incident, just being on a country road late at night. An animal sort of jumped out in front. There was a car very close behind. I couldn't stop, and yeah, even after that, so that was in Tasmania, and I came back to Sydney, and I think, I was sort of so shaken by that. By Yeah, it was sort of a wake up call, and so it would be really focused. If I was just driving around Sydney, like streets I was used to, I'd be really focused on the road right in front of me, and I don't know if I was hallucinating or not, but I swear I would see little mice and rats and things like that sort of dart out in front of the car. Yeah, it's a bit of PTSD or something, but yeah, it's just sort of never seen that before, and yeah, I haven't, after, I don't know, a couple of weeks of that, I haven't seen it again. So, uh, where was I going with that? I think, yeah, so I guess my approach to the first precept, it's not just about not killing. It's about being mindful as well. It's really through my inattentiveness. I look back on the time and, on the country road and think, I should have been driving slower. I should have just sort of pulled over and let the car pass. All these things I could have done. And I think it sort of really comes down to mindfulness. But then I sort of ask the question, okay, so we say, basically I undertake to abstain from taking life. Well, when we think about life, we sort of think about sentient beings. And that makes me ask, okay, so what's sentient, what's not? So I have a cat, feed the cat food. Sometimes my cat, Mr. Snacks, will leave little bits of food around the bowl. Ants will come and eat the food. Sometimes, if I'm a bit careless about it, the ants will crawl into the bowl, and basically there'll be a bowl full of food and ants at the same time, which I then have to essentially kill. And I'm thinking, okay, so if I'm abstaining from taking life, then killing ants, but is that okay? Are they sentient? One ant, I don't know if that's sentient. It's probably okay. So maybe it could be useful to look at the literal translation of the Pali. So the Pali, which I'm just taking now. So it's Pana Atipata Veramini Sikapadam Samadhyami. So this is from Sangharakshita's book, Living Ethically. He says that Pana literally means a breathing being, which I found really interesting. Atipata means harming or attacking. Veramini means abstain from. Sikapadam, it is literally a step in training. And Samadhyami is I undertake. So to go backwards through that, I undertake the step in training to abstain from harming or attacking breathing beings. Okay, well, what does that mean to be a breathing being? So I understand it in the sense of, I don't know, maybe everything that has lungs, but then trees and plants breathe, exchanging gases from the environment and using them to store or use energy. So it doesn't, I'm not sure if that's too much more helpful. Maybe it is. So then I ask myself, why am I looking for this sort of edge case? So I've sort of noticed in myself, if I'm given a task or given a set of rules, I sort of want to do the least amount of effort. Basically, to do the task, I don't, generally, unless I'm really into it, I don't really want to do anything more than I have to. Okay, so when I'm thinking about how to avoid taking life, is it because I really want to avoid taking life, or is it because I'm trying to find a loophole or a way around it so that I basically don't have to change myself? I can think, practice the first precept, I don't have to change, to go on killing ants, and it's fine. So, okay, I'm obviously being too focused on the letter of the law, and not so much the spirit. So if I want to focus on the meaning and I'm abstaining from taking life, then what do I do? I authentically want to practice ethics. It's part of the part of the threefold practice that the Buddha taught. So we have our ethical training, which helps us basically gives us a clear conscience. We clear our mind, and then we can use that clear mind to sit in meditation, investigate reality, and then use that investigation to develop the wisdom to get us hopefully closer to enlightenment. So what is it that I'm trying to do? I guess through that I've realized that there's a bit of a wrong view there, that I'm trying to find these loopholes or sort of workarounds that I don't have to change. But ethics is about transformation. We want to transform ourselves and our behavior to become more open, more ethical on that, working towards enlightenment, which might seem like a very far way away, but we're all on this sort of path together. We're all on the path in our very unique and different ways. And so, even last night, as I was preparing for the talk, it sort of suddenly struck me that this is why we have the positive formulation, because I know not to, I know to abstain from taking life, but then I get into these sort of legal loopholes and technicalities, and end up a bit confused. And then I can just turn to the positive formulation, which is, with deeds of loving kindness, I purify my body. So deeds of loving kindness, that's metta. And then purify my body was always a bit puzzling to me. If I think about purifying my body, I'm doing a detox, or only eating brown rice for a week or something. But the body here is the realm of action. So Buddhism, we break it down into body, speech, and mind. I guess you could think of them as going from the more gross sort of behavioural aspects into the very sort of subtle and fine mind, which we've probably all meditated. At least I realised straight away that it's very hard to control the mind. So time do we have? Okay, so really, truly ethical. We can hold ourselves to a very high standard. I came across this argument from a ethicist, Peter Singer, who probably a lot of people know about. He's written a lot about veganism, and he, I believe, also kickstarted the effective altruism movement, where instead of saying, I'm just going to donate to the person who's right in front of me, it would be more ethical for me to look. I could spend $10 on mosquito nets. That's going to save a lot more lives than the $10 that you do some charity you don't like. I came across an argument from him, which apparently it was a 1971 paper I hadn't heard of before, but it was very powerful. It really struck me, which is basically any money or resources that you spend on anything that's not purely for your own survival, that's unethical, because it's really, it's just a distance. It's sort of ignorance that's stopping me. Like, I don't, there's no starving children around here, so I can just sort of ignore them. That's fine. If I want to be really hardcore ethical, then I have to give everything. And how do you do that? I want to really, practice ethics strongly. But it just, that seems practically impossible. But again, I think it comes back to metta. We can only start from where we are. And as we do in the metta practice, the first stage is to ourselves. So we really need to have strong metta to really understand and accept where we started from. The past is the past. The great thing is, we get to change that in the present as we move into the future. So, I think, as we begin to meditate, we become more aware, and often the first thing that we become aware of is our sort of unskillfulness and the ways that we're lacking and that we could do better. And that can be very difficult, which is why metta is so important. Just to accept that, wherever I am at any time, there's a whole lot of conditions that have gone into where I've ended up. Some of them, maybe really important ones that, decisions that I've made, but those decisions that I've made in the past are still the conditions that have led up to the present moment. And all I can do is really move forward with kindness. So I think I will leave it there. Yes, sorry if this has been a bit patchy. I've had a bit of a difficult time coming up with a discussion question. I suppose the one that I like, that, I don't know, it seems pretty simple, is just how can we be, 1% more kind? I guess, to throw a few things out, I think, I'd like to ask, how we approach that first precept of abstaining from taking life. Where are we at? I think, if we can have this discussion without any judgment, because really, I can't judge anyone else. I don't think anyone can judge me. All we can do is sort of work together to move forward, be more kind,